Hello, beautiful people. Blessings to you all. I hope you are doing well. We're continuing with our series, chatting and looking at 7 different women in the Bible for this week as we celebrate International Women's Day. And today we are talking about Ruth. Now, Ruth is, along with Esther, it's one of only 2 women who have an entire book in the Bible that is named after them and also tells us great detail about their lives and the story and the account of their lives. So oftentimes when we hear about Ruth, when people talk about Ruth, we hear about Ruth and Boaz in the same sentence, which is fabulous because, you know, go ahead and find yourself a Boaz. We want a Boaz for everybody. But I think for me, what's most important is to be able to see women in the Bible and in life in general outside of the men that are markers of their story, or the men who become headlines, co-headlines of their story. So a summary of Ruth is Ruth was married, and Ruth and her sister were married to 2 brothers who are from the same family, and their mother-in-law was Naomi, and Ruth's sister's name was Orpah, and they were living in whichever city. I want to say Moabite, somewhere there. Anyway, so the brothers passed away, the father passed away, and it was then Ruth, her sister, and Naomi, the mother-in-law, and Orpah, the sister. And so Naomi, the mother-in-law, says to them, you know what, my husband has passed on, my sons have passed on, and I have no one else for you guys to marry. There's no way I can look after you. All of those things, please, like, head over, go back to your homelands, to where your family is from. And so Orpah goes, all right, cool, girl. It's been nice knowing you. Hugs, peace out. And Ruth goes, you're my mother-in-law. Like, I made a vow to cling to you, and so I'm going to continue to cling to you regardless and figure this thing out. And so Naomi goes, all right, cool, girl, then let's go. So they then head over back to Naomi's homeland, and Naomi was related to Boaz. And when they arrived back in their country, it was the barley harvest season, and so the harvesters were out, and so Ruth goes out and she begins to follow behind the harvesters working on the land, and the land she happened to be cleaning on was Boaz's land. And so Boaz comes to check on his field one day, and he sees Ruth looking cute out in the field, and I assume she was looking cute because why else would he spot her from everybody else, right? So he peeps her, he peeps the girl, and he's like, ah. It's like, okay, who is this fine specimen gleaning on my land? She wasn't here yesterday, apart from the fact that she was a new face. I'm sure Boaz was like, oh, she's a cutie. And so the people explained to her, like, you know, this is Ruth. She's here with Naomi. They've just come back from this land. She's lost her husband and her father-in-law, the whole shebang. And so Boaz says, goes to her and says, hey, please clean on my field and only on my fields, and, you know, go behind the harvesters. And I've spoken to the men and I've told them not to put a hand on you, and, you know, I got you, basically. And then fast forward later on in the chapter, there's a scene on the threshing floor, and then Naomi tells Ruth that, you know, basically you found favor with Boaz, so go lay yourself at Boaz's feet. Now, I can't explain that to you because, and you could sure, I'm like, I don't, was it broad daylight? Was it nap time? Did she just go in the man's tent and lay herself at his feet? I don't know what's going on, okay? But that is not why I want to focus on Ruth. What I want to highlight about Ruth is in Ruth 2, verse 7. The What it says about Ruth, or what it says of Ruth, is they specifically highlight when Boaz comes to ask who the girl is. They say, you know, her name is Ruth, she's here with Naomi, and she's been on the field since this morning, and she hasn't stopped working except to take a break for like some water and to have lunch. And the fact that she then worked into the evening. And what I see in Ruth's story is work ethic, right? So Ruth comes into the story and into the story of the harvest, and she probably maybe does not have any harvesting experience. She don't know nothing about working on no field. You know, she's not a farmer or anything like that, but she has hands, and she's like, I know how to use my hands. And even when they go back to Naomi's country, they are like, they don't have a plan, a plan. They don't know where they're gonna start. They don't know what they're gonna do. So they get there, and Ruth wakes up in the morning and she goes, okay, Naomi, look, I'm gonna go hustle for us, and I know it's harvest season, so I'm gonna go to one of the fields and see if I can get some work. Okay. We don't know if Ruth worked before this. We know nothing but the girl, okay? Um, but her work ethic stands out for me, and her work ethic is what made her stand out to Boaz. And ultimately, apart from being cute, which I'm just inserting, the Bible doesn't tell us that she's cute, that what lands her the favor with Boaz ultimately, and ultimately has Boaz being her kinsman redeemer, is that he also sees her work ethic. He's like, okay, like she's out here, she's doing the work, she's gleaning, she's consistent, she's here in the morning with everybody, she's leaving in the evening, she's honored throughout the day. There's endurance there, there's perseverance there is perhaps a sense of wit. Like, she wasn't asked to come to work. We didn't put out posters to say, we're looking for more harvesters. She just saw a gap and she took it, and she made herself useful. So the question to you is, what does your work ethic say about you? In your current workspace, whether it's a place that you want to be or not. What if you want to be in your workspace and you're wanting to be promoted, what does how you're working say about where you want to go? And does it put you forward? Does it highlight you as someone to be promoted? And if it's a space where you don't want to be, you don't want to be working there, that's fine. But what does your work ethic say about you in the season while you are waiting for transition and waiting for next, or waiting to leave? Do you work as unto God and not as unto man? Are you finding favor with the people that you work for? Are the works of your hands good to speak of, right? And in what ways is God establishing the works of your hands? If you are presently unemployed and you're looking for opportunities, what is your ethic around looking? How diligent are you looking? How widespread are you looking? And beyond just looking and getting this, whether you're unemployed, whether you are an entrepreneur with your own business, whether you're in corporate looking for opportunities, it's not just about being locked out, but going, what are you doing that makes you different and special to everybody else, that shows that your work ethic is up there, that you're serious, that you have integrity, that you can be trusted, that you can be relied upon, called upon. Are you waiting for the door to be open for you? Are you going around and finding an open window? Are you going in through the ceiling, right? And the greater question is, from the place of need that you have, from the place of desire that you have in terms of what it is you want to see materialize in your life, does your work ethic match that? Does the way you show up match the desire, the need, the want that you claim to have? And if not, what does that gap look like, and how can you go about bridging it? And that's really what stands out for me in the story of Ruth. And also just to say that sometimes you work and you think no one's watching you, and you're grinding and you're doing the most and you think nobody sees it. And just an encouragement to say that someone sees, someone's watching, someone that has the power, the resources, the ability to give you promotion, to grant you recognition, is watching. Personally, I don't know how long it took for Ruth to receive that notice, whether it was a day, whether it was the seventh day of the harvest, whether it was 2 weeks into the harvest season, right? But he noticed her within 24 hours. Like, he came to the field, I was like, oh, there's Ruth. But from there's Ruth to marry me, I don't know how long that took. But it's just to also encourage you to say that keep working, even if it feels like no one's watching. God is watching. God sees you. He sees the hard work. He sees the time that you put in. He sees the position of your heart, right? And to be mindful that it's not just about the external works that are happening, but it is the posture of your heart as well. And we see that with Ruth, that she had a sincere and genuine heart posture in helping Naomi and in wanting to create a new life and support Naomi in order for them to be able to do that. And she was rewarded for it. And with that, I also want to say that you too shall be rewarded for your work and the things that you are doing. So comment below, let me know, what do you take from the account of Ruth, and in what ways do you feel like you are showing up as Ruth in your life, and in what ways do you feel like you could be more like Ruth? Let me know.